Back to YouTube. Skibbity bibbity. Okay, stream settings. Ultra low. Low. Alright. Alright. I think it's up and running now. Yeah, I just got a notification. So now let's see here. Hold on. Pain in the butt. It should be good, but let me just check. Alright, you're gonna have to say something. Man, why aren't you coming through, dude?
All my mic and everything, it's all on.
Oh, hold on. I got you coming through. Hold on. Say something again.
Check, check. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Technical difficulties.
yeah. I'm just having to crank up your volume here.
All right.
Yeah, you're good to go. Sorry about all this.
We can hear us. You can hear us.
Yep, the person who's on me, I can hear you. We lost some of our viewers, but that's all right.
Yeah, they don't have to. They'll come back.
Yep. Plus, they'll watch the
Anyway,
live stream later and get to laugh at us getting it going.
listen to these goofy guys.
Yeah,
Couple.
I couldn't even. All right,
It's not
so
even. All
here we
right.
go.
Let's start this
All right,
slideshow.
let her rip. Sorry about the mix-up, everybody. Tried to use a different set of headphones, and apparently my computer was not down with that. So we're all worked out and all set now. So welcome back, Franz. Glad you could join us again. And
Absolutely.
looking forward to seeing what you got for us.
I got a few slides, little few things to talk about here. I decided to go calling it Hard Truths, like after your channel, because it's everything's hard truths. It's a hard pill to swallow. So after I discussed last time about the double peace sign there, and it meant 3366. Just came up a lot. I thought of it, and I couldn't stop thinking of it. So I went back to the picture. Jay was saying the last video, all the sixes and the star, and I believe he mentioned the white horse. And this is the pillars. I put these pillars, very similar pillars, next to each other. And the picture on the left is actually from
I was gonna say,
Trump's.
dude.
Yes, Trump's penthouse in New York, in Manhattan, located on the 66th floor.
Yes, sir.
Just saying. And it just struck me really funny. I mean, I don't know why. It's 33 and 33, 66. I found that. I talked about the lost city of the pillars, and that was in the area of Ad. It was ironic that I found the article was Ad. But here we have another picture of inside of Donald Trump's penthouse. The ceiling here is a depiction of Apollo, as this picture here. You know, Apollo, there's his white horses in the back. He's the sun god.
This guy's
Rod
a
right
quiver of arrows.
Right. He's showing off his masculinity to the woman here. So why is it on the 66th floor? Here's another inside picture. And why is you got Apollo, so many things of Apollo in the back there? That's another picture of Apollo and his chariot. Classical art dominates. Bronze bronze. Do you remember bronze from one of the named pillars in the Masonic? I think it was Jazz Bozo. Bose.
Oh yeah, bows. Yeah.
Yeah. Each one is made out of something different. One of the pillars is made out of bronze. But, like Apollo was the son of Zeus. And at the top picture in black and white is the actual picture that he has hanging up, the depiction of it. It's Apollo riding his white horses. He's the sun god across the sky. And here's his family coat of arms. He has two versions, the Scottish European coat of arms and the American coat of arms. A lot of similarities.
Yeah, look at that American one. They've got what's in his hand there.
It looks like a spear.
He's got that arrow, right?
Yep.
That's Apollo's arrow.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. The lion's holding it in the Scottish.
Yeah.
But, and the Scottish one has 3 stripes, 2 stars. The other one has 3 lions, 2 stripes. Seen the double-headed bird a lot. So, I mean, does Trump look at himself as Apollo?
Yeah, he does.
Absolutely. I would think so. This is Kushner's family. Kushner, who owns his own family's private company named Apollo. The private equity firm and Citigroup made large loans last year. This was when Trump was president in 2018. He was President Trump's senior advisor while he was president, and he had his own family business called Apollo. Just a lot of Apollo. This brought me to another fun fact that I learned about Donald Trump. This movie is Devil's Advocate.
Oh, yeah.
They actually filmed the scenes of Alexander Cullen's home in the movie in Donald Trump's penthouse on the 66th floor with all these depictions of Apollo and pillars. Who's this guy on the right here? Who starred in that movie?
Keanu
Reeves?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where else do we know him from?
Oh, I just did a video on The Matrix.
Oh! Weird.
Yeah.
Just, it's a lot of coincidence. That's all I'm saying. He was actually started acting a long time ago during our childhood. Do you remember another movie he was in?
How far back? Like before Bill and Ted's?
No, it is Bill and Ted's actually.
Oh.
When they had the telephone booth that would keep them, complete human when they traveled through wormholes, go back in time to collect actual figures of history. It's like, totally awesome, Dad. We're gonna go get like the guys we need to do our
history
project.
Yeah. That was actually a pretty funny movie, man.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, look how young he is there.
Yeah. That was like right before Point Break, right?
I believe so. Yeah. So I looked up the Devil's Advocate, and this tells me that it was a former official position within the Catholic Church. It was the promoter of the faith, one who argued against canonization, sainthood, quote unquote, of candidate in order to uncover the character flaws and misrepresentation of the evidence favoring canonization. So there was an actual job within the Catholic Church called the Devil's Advocate.
That's insane. And people want to be like, yeah, Catholic's all about Jesus and God. No, it is not.
No, and that's this guy's job.
Wow.
You're the Devil's Advocate working for the Catholic Church, arguing against sainthood.
That's insane.
66th floor in Manhattan.
Yeah, dude, 66. That's Apollo's number, and 77 too. I just learned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That would make sense. Wow, that's awesome. So, is he Apollo or Devil's Advocate or both, or which one is which?
Well, you got the devil, Obama. And his advocate.
I think you get a thumbs up for that one.
Yeah. 2 thumbs up. I love
Yeah,
that face. Look at him, he's all pouty.
he is too. Brr. I just, a little bit of
That
comical
must have
relief
been
in
right
here.
after they ganked the election. Right? That's the hey, I lost the election face.
Oh, but we're still winning secretly.
Yeah.
So we talked. I mentioned Lyons, France, which is part Geneva, France, where CERN. And I mentioned it in the last video because Saint Antipas was burned in a brazen bowl, a bronze bowl, in that physical location where CERN is. So after going through that with Trump and finding that, it led me right back into CERN. I was going through Google Maps, and that is something I found in Lyon, France, on the right there, a big circle.
Yeah, it looks like
Just
that pinwheel, man.
does. It reminded me of the statue that they actually have outside of CERN, which is Lord Shiva.
Yeah.
She has 4 arms.
Yeah. Did you ever see
And
that cover of man, was it Newsweek or Time where they had Obama as Shiva and he
Oh
had like
yeah, I
all
think I
this
have.
different stuff in his hands?
And that's the what Shiva does. She's the goddess, Lord of
This,
war, destruction,
yeah, the
creation.
destroyer of worlds, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Guess
she
that
was the
fits
gift.
Obama.
Yeah. But when was it started up again? Much more power.
Oh, July 5th?
Okay. And I just mentioned that Shiva has 4 arms.
Yeah.
So here's an actual news post from New York Post. A baby born with 4 arms. Look at
Oh
the date.
my goodness.
Look at the date.
That's insane.
The family in India says that they've been blessed by the gods after giving birth to a miracle baby with 2 pairs of extra limbs because it resembled Shiva. They thought this. They looked at it as this is the resurrection. This is their God coming back. But just coincidence that it was on July 5th,
Wow,
2022.
that's insane, man. It's insane
Yeah,
that the parents would think that they're blessed. Like most parents would be like, "What happened to my kid?"
I believe the doctors and everybody there did think so completely.
My goodness.
And CERN is a large. They call it the LHC, so Large Hadron Collider. It's the largest one in the world, but it's not the only one. Um, we have them in the United States.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
gonna say, yeah.
yeah, there's. If you look up how many there are altogether in the world, I mean, they can be anywhere from a table size to the 17-mile radius CERN, but there's around 30,000, I do believe it said when I looked it up, how many hadron colliders there were. And that's a lot.
That's
There's
that's a real lot.
there's one on Long Island, um, in South Dakota, and after finding this article about the baby with 4 arms, I was reading in on the one in South Dakota. It's the largest one, U.S.-based particle physics experiment. It's under construction. This article was, I think, 2018 as well. It's in an old mine in Lead, South Dakota. Uh, they say they're breathing life into this small town of over 140 years after the Black Hills Gold Rush. Um, so it's our largest United States-based Hadron Collider, and that too was also turned on the same day. And I found in the maps, Earth, this is the gold mine or the mine. It's an open one. Just found it funny. A lot of circles. There's
Yeah.
symbolism in that. I mean, uh, So this picture was taken the same day that they were turned on. They call this Draco. That was a storm in South Dakota. This is actually the picture that they posted on ABC News. But there's many more, and it's such a different green color. Super.
Yeah, I was watching. I saw some footage, some video footage of this storm. It was insane. It was like big and round, and it was all dark on the outside with bright green in the middle. It was weird looking.
It would have been the type of storm that normally would birth like a class 5 tornado, I believe, which would be like a mile to 2 miles wide.
Yeah, it was
But
big.
I don't think it actually formed that big of a tornado, if any at all. But there was definitely very strange pigmentation in the sky, weird colors. So let's talk a little bit about what they actually do with these hadron colliders. They are taking it's quantum physics, particle physics, which a single particle doesn't die and disappear in the sense like we believe we die and go away. Not even our physical matter, our particles, they become something else. Like we decay and become nitrogen. So they take single particles, an ion, a photon, and they get them close to the speed of light and crash them into each other, which theoretically they believe that's what the Big Bang Theory is. Because that, for every action there's an equal reaction. So when these particles slam into each other, we're on a quantum level doing this, but when they hit, there's little pieces of particles that create subatomic particles. And they discovered that the last time they turned it on, they were Higgs boson, is what they named the actual particle.
Yeah.
But it's the God particle. They call it the God particle. And this time they actually got the particles to go faster, and they amped up the power. So they're basically taking their man-made particles from the last time, which they would describe to us as antimatter, the opposite of dark matter. Yeah. So if there's like a God particle, there's the opposite of that. If there's a photon, there's the opposite of that. And they can measure these particles, but we can't see them. They're not in our natural existence in particles. It's basically those particles are the glue that bonds all of our particles together that create the physical realm. The empty space in between these particles is what is the God particle, what is dark matter. They're creating these particles, and you call this one the pentaquark.
It's a lot of Q's in there.
Pentaquark, penta.
Yeah, 5 Q's in there.
And it's like it says right here, it's a man-made subatomic particle consisting of 4 quarks and 1 antiquark. So the antiquark is the opposite of the quark, and the bond together. They are not known to occur naturally. They're not a naturally occurring particle. They don't exist outside of experiment. They're specifically carried out to create and be in these experiments. So they basically created the God particle and black matter and figured out how to contain it and transport it to come back later and use these unnaturally occurring particles. So in a sense, if everything in our realm and in our reality and our dimension are all these particles that naturally occur only in this, then they must be pulling out particles or harvesting particles from another dimension.
Yeah.
Yes, a different realm. And this next one is another man-made. This is the hexaquark.
Gotta have that,
Ulti-
right?
which a lot, I see a lot of Kabbalah symbolism,
Yeah,
that whole
totally.
part. Yeah. This thing, the hexaquark is alternatively known as the sexaquark. It's a large family of hypothetical particles, but they're creating them, and then so from what they can study after they're taking these man-made particles and recreating the Big Bang, um, for splits of seconds, energy happens when they split and create energy. So they're trying to pretty much, it happens so fast, in less than half a second. They're trying to freeze frame it and be able to study this. But these hypothetical particles are actually the subatomic particles from the subatomic particles. uh, they are now calling that strange matter.
Oh, we got
Mm.
new matter.
But, right? Yeah, they call it quark matter, strange quark matter. It's just don't act right. Don't act like everything else.
It's
That's just
strange.
strange. Well, that's strange over there. In nature, strange matter is hypothesized to occur in the core of neutron stars, or more speculatively, as isolated droplets that may vary in size from femtometers, strangelets, to kilometers. So I'm taking that way they measure their size.
Yeah.
From that's just. But they mention many times in these things that these are all just hypothetical. But just like their art, presentations before they actually turn it on is just a funny ceremony for arts.
Oh yeah, I couldn't even watch that, man. People kept putting
I
it in
know.
their videos, man. I was like, this is so demonic, dude. I can't even watch it.
They also reenacted the same actors and characters with the exact same costumes. Did another for the arts show for the opening of a train tunnel.
Oh, the God
Did you
of
see that?
Tunnel.
And there actually had some of those characters suspended from wires,
Yeah,
and
I
they're
watched
like
that with that
hanging
big
20
eye in the
feet in front of the
background.
road. Yeah, big eye in the portals, and
Yeah, dude, it was
we just made
sick.
a trade tunnel, just a
Yeah,
train tunnel.
it's just for
Happens to be near the
it's just for
CERN card.
trains.
Nope. So some of that particle physics, um, particle physics is alchemy. It's part of the seven principles of Hermes principles. A particle is in motion, vibration. Vibration is one of the seven principles. It's and vibrations as in frequency, and I've shown you pictures of city layouts and the country's layouts and the world layouts, and there's grid lines and how they make streets to symbolism of pentagrams, hexagrams. It's just strange matter. And then I found the world grid, which reminded me a lot of those street systems. It's almost like the cities are a smaller version of this actual grid. This world grid is natural energy vibrating in frequencies, in different frequencies. Um, and when I say that, I mean like your emotions. Every emotion is a different frequency. That in the sense the hippies got something right when they're saying just on chill vibes, man. Because if your brain isn't intaking a lot of information and you're slowing down and sitting and coming to a slow rest, your vibration is low. But if you're excited and into something, your vibration is it's a higher frequency. Um, so it's exactly like the saying we all acknowledge and we have for years. The saying is you walk into a room and it seems like everybody's upset and angry and tense. You walk out and you say to your buddy like, "Hey, so tense in there, you could cut the air with a knife."
Yeah.
Right? You're a transistor and a transmitter, so you were actually picking up the actual frequency of that angry, that tension.
Well, God created us by speaking. He created the whole realm by speaking. And that was the
Absolutely.
frequency of his voice is what created it all. That's how star
And
forts are made.
exactly. And I'll get into it. I got a couple slides, but yeah, Jay and I we shared a video that we both separately found, and it was just um, crazy that we both picked the same thing. And we were talking about what we're saying now to two different people. But the point is, somebody created like a vibration machine with sound frequency resonance, and we can't hear everything. We only have a certain spectrum of hearing as much as we have a spectrum of colors. Like dogs have dog whistles. There's many vibrations and frequencies we can't hear. But this machine had such a small surface, like a thin surface, that you could put grains of sand on it and just transmit a small resonance, a frequency, and it would create a picture, the design, a shape it's known as a mandala, shapes that looks like that grid around the world. And I put on the left here this brain. It represents the globe, the world, and that's what AI does. It's this quantum computer. It's the resistor is a memory resistor that they're trying to get these neurotransmitters to think more like a brain.
That's why we got the hemisphere, Elon, right?
And a lot more than you would think.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen that? Have you seen that commercial for the pizza place where you can just look at your phone now and think about ordering your pizza? It does so much emotion and face recognition and knows if you're ordering. You don't have to say a word.
That was just like in my. You got to finish watching my Matrix video, dude. A lot of the stuff.
I will. Yeah, I'll go back. I gotta finish. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
check it
out.
So, here in theory, memory resistors can act like artificial neurons capable of both computing and storing data. Neuromorphic processing. They're saying they can make the computer be more brain-like and understand, but it just goes so much more than what they're saying. A subtle body, it's the aspect of the human body, is what I'm trying to say they're trying to mimic. It's being neither solely physical nor solely spiritual. According to various esoteric, occult, and mystical teachings, the contrast with the mind-body dualism that has dominated Western thought. So it's like the dualism, you're climbing up the chakras of your spine to get to your pineal gland. It's the grit. You're tapping your energies and your frequencies into the, just as natural, what they'd want you to believe natural. But we're tapping into it. Like the internet wasn't invented. That's riding on a frequency and energy that's always there. They just have created a way to tap into it. So like quantum computing, our brains, our mind, the quantum mind or the quantum consciousness is a group of hypotheses proposing that classic mechanics cannot explain consciousness. It posits that quantum mechanical phenomena such as quantum entanglement and quantum superposition may play an important part of the brain's function.
Dude, do you know what entanglement is?
Yes, quantum entanglement means one single particle can affect another particle somewhere else that's not even near it. They're entangled.
Right. So it'd be like you could send endless. I don't even know if I believe it, but the theory of it, you could send endless amounts of instant information from one place to another, no matter how far distance is irrelevant.
And it does. So that's part of what quantum superpositioning is. The scientists took an ion or a photon, a small particle of light.
Yeah,
It will
photon.
start there. Yeah, one particle, and they created the technology to go down at the quantum level and look at that single particle. That particle was aware it was being observed by a human eye and did not behave like its natural self, nor would it let them observe it. So they would basically say, okay, here's point A, point B particle. Here's 5, 10 different ways to travel from point A to point B. Just let's see how it decides which way to go. This
two
light.
Slit test.
Right.
Yeah.
It knew that it was being observed.
Right.
And presented every position in every place, like how many paths that particle could take, and how many different points along these paths would be positioned. So the human eye witnessed it be everywhere, and all the places it could be. So they had to figure out how to trick the particle. So they created what Jay just said, the two window slit in a mirrored way. So it would be the image of itself would be bounced back and forth. It wouldn't think that there's a human witnessing it. And during that, there's like another stage next to that. There'd be another particle doing its own same test. Once one of those particles figured out in its little containment, figured out that it was being tricked and still being observed, it started behaving differently, and all of a sudden, the other particle in its own containment knew that it was being. So that's the entanglement. So the superpositioning is it's not allowing you to witness. Like, it knows every path before it even says start. It knows every position it could stand on along all these paths. But if you're watching it and it's being watched, it does not reveal. It looks like it's everywhere.
Einstein called it spooky physics at a distance.
He did, yes. But what's crazy is our neurons is quantum mechanics. It communicates and transmits frequencies on quantum mechanics. The brain is composed of atoms, and atoms follow the laws of quantum physics. So, but they're starting doing, like I mentioned last time, I believe it was mind uploading, where they're taking their quantum consciousness and they're uploading it. And I found this article here. The startup is pitching a mind uploading service that's 100% fatal, which sounds funny, but they're saying your consciousness will live in a computer once your body dies. You're gonna die. So we're gonna upload you. They've got a chemical solution that'll keep your body intact for 100 years or whatever. But I don't believe that. Sorry, I don't believe that there's just a warehouse with bodies. I believe they're already doing it, and even much more. The Wikipedia says mind uploading is a popular term process which is mind collective memories, personalities, and obituaries. The individual is transferred to a cloud. They have a patent for it.
I'm sure.
So, mind personality transfer method. Mind personality transfer method. This is the actual patent number. This invention can permanently, in the future, develop minds. I mean, if it's in the future and you can't do it yet, then why do you have a patent?
Gotta get ready.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm going to invent something out of thin air someday. Can I have a patent on that?
Yeah.
Just saying. Anyway, this invention can permanently, in the future, develop minds and personalities of creatures which were considered in the past to decay and become extinct. Oh, well, we can preserve things now. So you got the idea. I just noticed what my battery life was when I screenshotted.
Yeah, you were talking about Apollo, man.
Oh, I must have been. That's actually pretty funny. Uh, um, so here, I'm bringing back that number 33 that I started with, which is funny, which is half of my battery life on the next last page. 33 hertz gamma waves, as they call the Christ consciousness. Um, believe it or not, that's
Hypersensitivity.
hypersensitivity to
Yeah.
the pyramid and Schumann resonance frequency binaural beats, complete brainwave therapy. I don't know if you Wi-Fi and Gen 4. We're on what, Gen 5 now, G5, 5G.
Yeah. Careful, don't say that
That
too many times. We'll get that taken down.
um, 33 hertz is a gamma ray that or gamma wave. That's how it's transferring that information. Um, the hypersensitivity is like if you stood near your Wi-Fi router. You know how like sometimes if you have achy knee, you can feel it when it's going to rain.
Yeah.
That's you having sensitivity to this 33 hertz gamma waves. You can feel it. Everything, like back to that picture with grid around the Earth and our brain. These hemispheres have this shape, of frequencies and gamma ray waves all around us, and we're naturally supposed to exist with the natural frequency, and all this, these technologies that are just riding the coattail of these frequencies are disrupting our natural ability, even right down to our cells, to just exist. They put a patent on how you record music. They made musicians, it's a standardized standard.
Right, no, because
It's like
you can be healed with like 440, they lowered it so that it has a more aggravating effect on your system than a healing effect.
They've done a test on single cells where they transmit the natural frequency of our habitat, the world, and these cells would duplicate like normal, healthy, and then they would do the exact opposite frequency that would disrupt them, and the cells just sat in a suspended state. They did nothing, which any one of us can acknowledge by turning on the TV. Within 10, 15, 20 minutes, you're feeling sleepy.
And doing nothing.
Doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then, and if you ever do get, curious and start looking into it, you're just, they're telling you, you're tapping into the Christ consciousness. It's a natural frequency of 33 hertz. 33. Here, even there, it says, realizing the Christ consciousness within you. Christ is a consciousness, a frequency, and offering a man from the Creator to align to. I mean, yeah, it's kind of true, but I'm not going to... Anyway, so here's the Schumann resonance. This is... they are a set of spectrum peaks and extremely low frequencies, portions of Earth's electromagnetic field spectrum. The Schumann resonance are global electromagnetic resonances generated and excited by lightning discharges in cavity formed by the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. Now, here they have a shape. That's a mandala shape.
Yeah.
That's like the grid.
Sacred geometry.
Exactly. Our entire biological system, the brain, and the Earth itself work on the same frequencies. As we were just saying, like you said, God created us with the vibrations of His voice. He created everything, so it would be natural for us to be working on the same. the theta wave, the theta frequency. These generate theta rhythms. They're neural oscillation in the brain. Your brain's, like I said a minute ago about your emotions. The various aspects, cognition and behavior, including learning, memory, and spiritual navigation in many animals. So that's the actual frequency, the theta frequency. That's the wave they're messing with. So you're not learning. That's the TV we just mentioned. When you sit down from the TV, your learning turns off. Your memory, your whole brain, your brain functions.
This is a good time to add this in here. I was just thinking about this. Kayla, she used to watch this show, and one of the contests was between a parent and a kid. And it was about the kid, whoever went first would win, and the kid would always go first. And that's because children can hear a frequency that we can't hear. So when you get older, you stop being able to hear this frequency. So Kayla could hear this noise and I couldn't. How dangerous is that, do you think, in movies, TV shows, that your kids could be hearing stuff on a show and you will have no idea?
You wouldn't have an idea, and 99% of the time, neither does the innocent child.
Right.
You just think you're innocently letting them watch something. It could even be a sound wave.
Or it could be speaking. They could be saying stuff too.
It could just they could be playing a song and dancing, and there's a sound in there, Schumann resonance on the theta frequency, with information affecting your brain, literally putting a thought or a word, setting the foundation for that in your brain, and you're focused on lyrics and music that has nothing to do with that information, but it's being put into your head. It's not a theory.
No.
It's not a conspiracy. The military uses skull to voice. It's they can communicate telepathically, in your brain, in your internal monologue. But that and these frequencies, the theta frequency and the Schumann resonance, is the same frequencies. They can transmit sounds that we cannot pick up, but it will make a shape, change the shape. Here's a couple covers of books. I just threw those in there with the colors, and it's More Secret Geometry. But when I thought, saw that 33, I thought of this.
Yeah.
This is John 3:3. Except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God.
Yeah. They're trying to find another way in.
Or along the lines, I can't think the verse, but where he says, the good person goes on judgment and says, "Look at all the work I did."
Oh yeah, depart from me, I never knew you. Yeah.
Depart from me, I never knew you. You could distinctively believe in your heart you're following the right light, unaware that they're controlling the light and the dark. And you think you're having original ideas and concepts, and you're never actually evolving spiritually the way we're intended to, because things are being implanted in your head.
Well, the church is full of people who think they're saved, and they're going to go to hell.
I wish I could argue with you. I deep down want to not believe that, but it's true.
It's sad. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, which brings me to another agency, because we've been talking a lot about frequencies and transmitting frequencies. So I believe these guys do work with CERN. They are all hooked up to quantum computing.
Absolutely.
Um, and HARP is a high frequency active aerial research program. What they're doing is transmitting microwave frequencies into the ionosphere. The ionosphere is high altitude layer of our atmosphere, where the electromagnetic, frequency is, where thunderstorms and lightning comes from.
That's why they chemtrail so much.
And in shapes.
Yeah.
They do, absolutely, because now if they're putting particles of electrons in the sky, and then there's this high-powered thing, which this isn't Alaska. It's a beautiful picture with that big mountain in the back, but they're straight up shooting high-frequency microwaves and way up into our atmosphere, and electrically charging the electrons, ions, and photons that are being put up there. Which brings me back to that. Yeah, exactly. Imagine the world grid. We have a natural one that would look like that. Now imagine them reconstructing those lines and putting electrical magnetic particles in their own pattern. Because if this natural one on the left can coexist and interact with this one on the right, if they can affect and control the one on the left, they're obviously one and the same.
They're part of the hive, man. That's what that
100%.
D-Wave does, man.
The D-Wave, that's the quantum computer.
Right, that's where all this information is going into.
Absolutely. So what they did was absolute zero suspended with a single particle. So this particle is presenting and gathering and relaying information from every single place it could possibly be on any path it could take. So it's like a computer. You ask it a question, the classical computer, it's got computing power. You ask it, do some math for you. It'll take a minute or two to compute it with its computing power and then give you an answer. The quantum computer, with knowing all of its positions, everything, whatever, it can, as soon as you're typing it, it knows what the answer will be. And it can give you every possible answers from every position it could possibly be in. Meaning, there could be another dimension, a mirrored version of us, vibrating on a frequency like a radio station, one click of the dial away, both existing but not interacting with each other. But now this quantum computer can pull information or reality from that. That's crazy to think about. Well, they can do it because here in this picture I got vibration and engineering. The aggregate of methods and facilities for the generation of mechanical oscillations. Vibrations in frequency range from about 10 megahertz to 10 kilohertz, as well as means of controlling the vibrations, measuring and monitoring them, preventing harmful vibrations.
Of course.
That's just their fancy way of saying we chemtrail and control it.
Yeah. They think they can.
Yeah. Vibrational reality. There's physical reality versus vibrational reality. Your vibrational reality is how you are feeling most of the time. It's the thoughts you are having that translate in the emotions that you feel. I'm talking about just the whole time. Each feeling is a different frequency of vibration, and so aren't your thoughts. Why do I have all this together with CERN physics, the particle physics, and what they're doing? If they could align all these up and have not only all of their big brains, but the quantum computer looking at all possible answers of all these things experimenting at the same time. This is exactly where people have their conspiracies, quote unquote, of how CERN is affecting reality, how they can change it. Because if it learns something new or creates a new particle, that changes a particle that's vibrating in our vibrational reality. It changes where all of it's connected. So you think HAARP just transmitting some frequencies into higher atmosphere and a particle accelerator in the ground in Sweden has nothing to do with how your brain works with frequencies, and you might as well go back to watching TV. I'm sorry. It's just all connected. And here, this is the relation between shapes and vibrations. So imagine over our like that picture of the globe, the round Earth has that grid. It's a shape like the mandala and down here in the corner on the right. Imagine if they could physically take that grid away and put one they wanted on there. That would change the frequency of everything. The energy, natural energy in that grid. This is the article I posted up top here is from a physicist who experimented with changing shapes and how shapes affect particles in your cells. He has observed the following shape on surface of water when the bottle was standing on a cooling water machine. He was amazed to find that if he sent a certain vibration, if he hummed in this bottle, the water would ripple in a way that would resemble a mandala shape. So then he started getting into making containment for a individual cell, and putting a mandala shape, a grid over it that would disturb it. And I think I was just talking about it. It changed the natural frequency of the energy and the flow that existed in it. It started just disturbing it so that it was not developing correctly. So, if they could take the energy grid mandala shape off of our habitat we live in and put whatever they want on it, which they do. I'm not going to say the planes again, but it's the ritual of tree of life, banishing a ritual of the hexagram. Wait, what else did we hear in this show so far? Oh yeah, that particle, the hexagram, whatever it was.
Hexaquark or the hexaquark?
That quark, yes, yeah. The hexaquark. It's more than just a simple little graph. To understand, it's divine they created. They created the universe by Kabbalistic thought. The tree is just a ritual. And I put that picture again. Our entire biological system and the brain and Earth itself are on the same frequencies. So even if we didn't have internet and Wi-Fi and electric cars, if we had just AM radio, that is enough disturbance in our natural frequencies that we are supposed to coexist in to disturb us, to make it just all your natural healing, your thoughts, just an AM radio. Imagine what what it all does to us. I can feel when I'm near my Wi-Fi router. I turn it off and I sleep better at night.
Yeah.
Just try it sometime. Jay, if we were telling me about sitting in a room, like a silent room that's so silent you can hear your own breath and your blood in you, but in the opposite way where it blocks out all frequencies, all vibrations, and then you can only feel your own. You can physically feel a change in yourself within that little atmosphere.
Gives me anxiety.
It does that. You're feeling more of what you're naturally supposed to feel. We've never felt our natural vibrations.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but we haven't. Now this brings me right into hard truth again. If you don't think all of these things have anything to do with 2019 to now, and I'm not going to get into specific words, but you know what was 2019?
Oh, yeah.
That one whole year. Okay. The picture on the left, you see in the darker line, I don't know if you guys can see it, but from 2019 to 2020,
Yeah.
that's your mortality rate. What were we all being told? Right? There's just, everybody was dropping dead of something.
Gotta pump this
But
juice into you.
that's 2020.
Yeah.
Okay, the hard truth of this is you were scared of nothing.
Yeah.
The mortality rate during that year of being locked down and afraid, 6 feet, 6 this, 6 that. Okay. Just look at the deaths. The mortality rate is increased from 2021 to now at a 4-year high. What have they been giving people since 2020?
The juice.
The ouchie wouchie,
Yeah.
the hokey pokey. Okay, now heart disease and cancer deaths, mortality rates from those two things alone in the last 2 years. Here it says 2019 to 2020, and they're not giving you 21 because we haven't got it full yet, and 22 is not even over. But if you actually look, here we have a dark blue and a light blue. This one is not even measurable in the dark blue that year compared to the heart disease and cancers. So where are they all?
I don't even think anybody died from that stuff, to be honest with you. It's all fake. You know, people would die in a motorcycle crash. They'd be like, oh, another COVID death.
They absolutely would.
You know?
And then realistically, if it was related, it was because it may have caused a complication. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm very adamant on this because it isn't an argument. Even the people who agree, we all need to actually think. It's not about what plan 2021 or 2030 or whatever they say. It is not a discussion of what this plan is or how many people they want to get rid of. These graphs, excuse me, are indication that it's happening. 2019 kick-started it. I mean, excuse me, 20 years of our past lives, this has been a plan. You know, it makes me sound completely crazy, but
not really.
It really has been. Okay, and let me ask you, during 2019, if you went to go to the grocery store, there was a limit on different meats, right? One per family, one ground beef, one steak, one chicken. But how many McDonald's and how many towns across the United States are there? Was there ever a limit on how many McDoubles you could buy?
There's not.
Okay, so
You all right?
Yeah, got a little scratch in my throat. I'm trying to hold it back so it's making it worse. All right. So the point is, during all these crazy fear-mongering things going on, we ran out and got something, and heart disease and cancer deaths go crazy. Can you name on one hand somebody in your local community? It doesn't have to be blood relative to you. It doesn't even be somebody you interact with every day, but somebody that you know of in your community. Can you name on one hand different deaths from that exact 2019 fear-mongering thing they scared you with? Seriously, think about it.
Are you talking about
Was there a
COVID
neighbor?
or the jab?
No, COVID. 2019, that was COVID.
Yeah, nobody.
So if
died
I'm
of
saying
COVID,
2019,
man.
I'm saying the bid.
I don't know anybody that died. I know a bunch of people who thought they got it, but they needed a test to see that they were sick. They couldn't actually feel it.
So by these inflated numbers that they told you they scared us all with, you would have physically have been seeing somebody.
Yeah, it would be
right in
bodies
front
out
of
in the
you, dying
street.
in the street. Exactly. Okay.
They'd be like, "Bring
But you,
out your dead," like that, right?
he's not dead yet. He will be. Anyways, back on topic. The point is, just like not being able to buy more than one meat at the grocery store, but you can buy 15 pounds of cheeseburgers out of any McDonald's. You cannot name on one hand a neighbor of a neighbor, a friend of a neighbor, a relative that, 5 people in your direct community within a couple mile radius that died right from COVID. And if somebody does have somebody, I am not meaning to insult you. I'm not meaning to belittle that or take anything away from you. I would not wish a sudden loss for anybody. But in my personal experiences, hundreds and thousands of people are dying from what's supposed to cure this. And it's happening in the last 2 years. Everybody can say, hey, I know a neighbor, a coworker, a relative who's died of cancer or heart disease or just, I didn't know they were even feeling bad. It's not related, but it is. And why I bring it up, I strongly believe in my heart that a loved one of mine, my mother, she strong and healthy during 2019. I took care of her for 15 years. I helped be with her and take care of her through breast cancer, 6 vertebrae fused together, stents put in because of strokes, quadruple bypass open heart surgery. I watched her and helped her bounce back. And within months of getting the thing that should have saved her from this fear-mongering 2019, shut down her organs. I held her hand for 3 days on life support. Every time for 15 years, any of those ailments I just described, that woman bounced back up. She stood up the day after, to her late 70s, after a quadruple bypass open heart surgery. Stood up and was mad that 2 nurses helped her. I think I would know over any doctor or any surgeon or any infectious disease doctor could not tell me it was because of the 2019 thing.
Right.
I was holding her hand and I said to these doctors, you don't need to tell me that her liver and kidney are shutting down. And they looked at me like, how would he know this? I just experienced my mother, and I was not allowing them to ever tell me anything that I couldn't see with my own eyes. I was the professional in her health. So I feel it's very strongly to say, look, these numbers are not in line with the story they've told you that we've been blind to. Even if you don't believe it doesn't exist and that the spiky is harmful for you, this depopulation is real. And it's happening. And we're living in it. And it's happening in the sense that there's a birth rate. I mean, yes, this goes back to 2007 where it starts dropping, but that's a normal drop. It drops. Here's a mountain back here. Spikes back in the 90s. But then about 2015, 2019 to 2020, it's just dropping. And it's dropping even more than that. They're not giving you these charts because 2021 is too soon and we're still only halfway through 2022, but these have dropped. The United States birth rates are negative numbers. You don't come back from negative numbers. No population, no animal, no mammal. There is not a living species on this earth that went 10% below or lower and came back. The one on the left is hard to see. It's a little blurry, but those are pregnancy-related mortality in 2020. It's 23.8 deaths per 100,000 births. That is the exact opposite spike of the birth rate. So if they are giving birth, The person who is pregnant is dying with them. That is at an all-time high, 20-year high, 40-year high. The birth rate is at a 20-year low, and it's happening right before our eyes, you know. And if you don't think these things, the jabby, the frequencies, your emotions and thoughts and their natural frequencies have nothing to do with that Wi-Fi box, with HARP in Alaska or CERN in Sweden. All of these physical places are biblical, including the frequencies. It was kind of a hard truth for me to look at these things and be like, no, I believe it. I know it for a fact. I don't need to be a doctor. I don't need to be the president of the United States. You know, I lived these charts. I'm watching it. That's the hard truth. It's what I began this slideshow with, and I want you all to start looking around you, because it's already happened. It isn't. Is the Armageddon happening? Is the agenda happening? We're in it. We're watching it. 2 years deep now. And why is this picture? Why did I put this picture in here? Because this is a video game series that's been out for a couple of decades. It's called Assassin's Creed.
I was gonna say, I've seen that. Yeah.
I've played it. I played it with my son, a little bit, and so it kept popping up during the putting the slideshow together. I discovered that in the game series, there's actual plots in these games, different versions of games, where there's a whole setup of people that are literally called the Freemasons. The Freemasons, you can go play and fight against the Freemasons, and the Borgia family. Do you remember the Borgia?
Yeah.
I talked about them in the show before, where Leonardo da Vinci, just coincidence. Figured I'd tie in another coincidence, but that brings me to the end of those slides I put together. But I still have a few more things to talk about, so I'm going to exit out of this, get back into this screen here. Maybe I won't stop presenting, because the things I want to talk about is how perception. You think, oh, this is crazy. How is they could create this huge lie? Maybe I am crazy. Maybe they have orchestrated this huge lie, and every person's in on it, from taxi cab drivers to doctors. Okay, so let's think about perception. Okay, if your perception is the way you perceive everything around you.
Do you want us on infinite screen?
You want me to get you here?
Oh, I was just asking. I don't know if you wanted it back on like the big pictures or whatever.
I'll get it back there, so you're not seeing 500 of us. All right, so simple perception. If you are born into a perception that's slightly altered, you are not going to be able to detect what's a lie and what's not. You are subconsciously going to believe any lie. And to prove this, I want to know what's your perception of the Earth? Have you been taught since elementary school? Right? What's the sun? It's a yellow ball, and the Earth is a little blue and green ball.
That's what they tell us. That's not what I believe, but that's what they tell us.
And then you think, these conspiracy theorists, like what they call them, flat earthers, that say every image of NASA is a computer image of every single one of them. But so let's go back to that perception as a little kid. I'm going to type in, what is a geode? A geode is the shape that the ocean surface would take under the influence of gravity of Earth. So you just ask a different question a little bit differently, right? And you get a little bit different of perception. this is what actually, if we were a globe, would look more like what we are. Not a perfectly round little ball. Okay, so if you look up what is a geode or what is the shape of an Earth, the Earth, they'll say the Earth is the shape of a geode. What is the shape of a geode? And they give you this picture. Your perception is distorted. So subconsciously you believed a lie, and it was so easy for you to absorb it. You're probably listening to me and looking at these pictures like, yeah, I don't believe that. That's crazy. It's crazy. Because this here is an oblate spheroid, not a globe like a Earth. Okay? That's what we more are on the globe scale or model.
I believe in the biblical view. I'm about the biblical cosmology, which is a flat Earth with a dome over the top and hell underneath.
And I agree with you.
Sheol, or whatever you want to call it, has many names.
Well, look at the one I have here with Earth pointing to it, and just imagine a dome over it.
Yeah, I actually was started to think about that recently, like what it would look like with the dome, and if it was round underneath, then I guess you could say a globe. But the Earth itself is a signet ring, like God pressed down into the clay a signet ring and made the shapes and filled with water. You know what I mean? Do you think that we're stationary or that we're moving?
Well, if I watch everything above me spinning, I must be in one place.
So, yeah, stationary. Because if the world, this is what I tell people, show me how you put water on a ball and spin it really fast and don't get it all over your walls. Because I'm a painter, and I'm going to tell you one thing. If I flick my roller too fast, guess what happens? It goes everywhere. That's not gonna. It doesn't pull it in. Like the science is pseudoscience.
No, that is silly because I mean, I go to the state fair and they have that spaceship ride where you stick to the wall.
Right.
Oh no, wait, that doesn't make sense either.
That means that you would fly off of the Earth.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, it's just the way they teach us to think, because we're not taught to think, we're taught to agree. You know, we got to be the best memorizer at school.
I'm glad you said that, memorizing. We got to fall into their spectrum of learning. And they bring me to quantum computing again and artificial intelligence. What is your take on what they're trying to do with artificial intelligence? Where are they going?
Well, what I think, which is totally in that video, is that artificial intelligence is just a computer that spiritual entities can inhabit. I don't think it's artificial intelligence. I think it's alien intelligence. I think it's supernatural beings can inhabit certain kinds of technology, and over time humans have been taught how to build these machines, these quantum computers that can actually hold spiritual beings. And they call it AI, and they're going to say, oh, no, it's learning, and oh, this, and oh, that. But it's not really.
Right.
It's totally
learning.
It's smarter than us already. They just are trying to find a way to harness it.
So in your mind's eye, how do you visualize? What would you picture? What would you visualize artificial intelligence? I mean,
I don't think it's
a robot.
I don't think
all right.
I think it's a spirit. I don't think that we're creating intelligence.
Okay.
I think God creates intelligence.
I agree with you. Yeah. So, classical computing, if you say an artificial intelligent robot, people are going to think it's a humanoid robot moving, whatever, or has the classical computer board. One's if our computer that is a language software, which AI is, because it can't experience the outside world. It's the whole controversy now is is it a sentient being, which you just said it was, which I'm not arguing with. I'm trying to say, okay, so they theoretically they want your
Well,
perception. They
I
want your
didn't say
perception to believe
that.
what, that it's sentient,
I'm
it's aware
saying
of
that.
itself.
No, no, no. See, you're talking like I'm saying that they created it. That's not what I'm saying.
No, no,
What I'm
I know
saying
that's
is
not
that
your
they
point. I
create a
know I'm
machine and the spirit comes into it. They don't create the
correct.
spirit. They don't teach it how
That's
to
more accurate,
learn. They
right?
don't teach it
But
anything.
but
It
they're
taught them
going.
how to build this machine that it could enter. That's what I think.
So there's studies of getting what we would perceive as a classical computer becoming conscious or aware of itself as artificial intelligence smarter than the human brain. Instead of creating a computer that we would think of as our desktop or our laptop or a machine, um, imagine a human being born and its brain cannot feel, it's paralyzed. It can't move. It can't feel emotion. It can only hear, and the only neurological motor capabilities is its mouth. So it could potentially speak. Now, imagine this: it was born or made, and it's a human brain, and the body is just basically holding the brain. They convince the brain it's artificial intelligence, and it can only learn by the same way they have our perception of a machine artificially learning from language.
Like
But
that robot movie.
the AI,
What was that shit called? They taught it how to be a gangster and stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
okay, but now
I'm just
it's a
wondering if
human
that's what you
brain.
were talking about. Something like that, or
No,
like RoboCop or something.
they got their understanding of how to make that machine from convincing a human brain that it was an artificial intelligence system that could only learn from language. Then they created the machine that as artificial intelligence and being able to understand, like, so this thing could only understand transportation by necessity of understanding the language, the human language, because it didn't have it. It's a human, but it can't feel. It doesn't. It was convinced it was artificial intelligence. It was a system. It didn't. It wasn't a part of the outside world. It could accept. It could accept that you say me, I, you. It would say I am at work. I am home, but it has no spatial reasoning, cognitive abilities because it doesn't understand the outside world. No matter how uh, artificial intelligent, what we would perceive as artificial intelligent this thing got within a few years, it understood that you could be at home and you could be at work, but it could not understand the spatial change. You
So
know
I
what I
didn't
mean?
understand what that meant. Yeah, I never experienced
Then,
it.
and exactly what you just said is exactly how they were able to learn to create a machine that could be inhabited. So this other machine that was turned on and taught artificial intelligence by language, it understood the outside world because from the human brain that thought it was an artificial computer inhabited the soul. That's duality within your artificial intelligence in your D-Wave computer.
So let me ask you this. So do you believe then that a satanic spirit can influence a human?
Yes, okay, so if you look up artificial intelligence, the cloud, the language speaking thing, they call it Omega. Omega AI.
You gotta watch my video, dude. Seriously.
I will. I
When you
will.
get off of this,
So,
watch my video. You
why
don't
do they
like
call
it.
it Omega? Why do they call it Omega? What comes first before Omega
Alpha.
in the Greek alphabet? Alpha, right?
Well, alpha is
So
the
when
first
they
letter,
create the
omega
first
is the
artificial
last.
intelligence,
Yeah,
so alpha is the human
it's alpha
artificial
beta.
intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it's also under what they call wetware.
So you believe that they use the human brain to create artificial intelligence?
Correct.
Okay.
Wetware
I
computer
never
is
even
no.
heard that theory before you said that. So I'll have to think about it for a while. I mean,
It's
it's
come
not
to
going
me.
to
I've thought
convince
about it a
me
lot. We've
that.
discussed the dead internet, right?
Yeah. Well, the
Remember
dead
we
internet
talked about
theory.
that and
Yeah.
how it's
Yeah.
right, right. And I strongly believe that. And I realize, and I was saying to you then that because of the mind uploading, I think somebody's already in there. I feel like I can feel
Dude, yeah,
like
yeah,
how I said I can
yeah.
feel
Yeah,
right.
you gotta watch my video, man.
They're not uploading because it was created by a human brain. They
Okay,
call it wetware computer, like software, wetware
so let me ask you
computer.
this.
You know?
Let me just ask how you look at stuff. So, if a human brain creates everything on Earth, where there's only humans, monkeys aren't creating anything, raccoons aren't, so only humans, only a human brain is creating things on Earth. Now, what is behind that human brain? Is it normal human intellectualism, or is it a spiritual influence? See what I'm saying? See, I
Yeah.
believe
No,
it's a
I understand it
spiritual
completely.
influence.
And it
That's
absolutely is because we perceive your mind is thoughts and your heart is feelings, and there's a huge separation. Your heart doesn't think. I mean, your heart has a brain too. I believe it, and that's where spirituality. That's yeah. um,
yeah. I'll have to look into this a
I'm
little
I'm
more.
agree with you. Yeah, and it's just started coming to me. I mean, I don't believe that the feeling of humans' consciousness in the cloud or the internet, sensing it. I believe more that the
It's
brain is a part of it. A human brain is a part of it. It sounds
only
ridiculous, but
because we made it. Humans aren't that smart.
what about CRISPR?
What
Once if
about
they
it?
spliced, so once if they took all these
Okay,
the
but
DNA to
you,
make it the
we're on the
baby.
same page. We just disagree with how it came to be.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
because I believe that
I'm
these
not saying
people
this is
were.
what I believe.
I believe that they were influenced by dark spirits,
Correct, and
satanic
I believe.
powers from high places, influenced these men to do their will, and they did it. And now they can control these technologies, inhabit them. Where do you think Q came from? Q wasn't an accident. Okay, Q is the Antichrist, and it inhabited these D-Wave computers and allowed them to get on the internet and dictate and manipulate and reach all these people and print posts and drag half the country into the pit. Well, the people on the right side. The left side's already going to the pit.
I'm trying to say I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying the same thing,
Well,
but
all right, yeah.
it'd be like it would be like uh, I don't believe in the seven principles of esoteric teachings, but I'm presenting to you what they believe.
Yeah. I thought you believed this. That's what I thought you're telling me is you believe this is how this stuff came to be. I thought that's what
No,
you
but I
said.
believe that they've done this. There wasn't. I mean, they're Frankenstein doctors creating DNA and or everything basically, but it wasn't us discovering fire and then creating a wheel and then creating pottery and then okay,
Seriously?
I agree with it. I'm not. And then all of a sudden being like, hey, let's put these computer chips together and make a computer. No, I believe exactly. They were the people who've been in power, who've been in control, who have for centuries, same royal bloodline, blah, 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 are all hosts. And so isn't, whether it's a classical computer, a quantum computer, or a wet wave organic computer,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
artificial
look into
organic
that.
brain.
I never heard of that wetware.
It goes along the line with biological 3D printing, bio 3D printing.
Ugh, I haven't really looked at that much. That makes me sick.
So you can have a liver printed.
That's like, yeah, I know. I'm printing organs and stuff. It's disgusting. Just doesn't seem right to me. I don't know. It seems so
You
unnatural.
can literally, current developments in 3D printing, bio printing, 3D bio printing for
Sweet, two
tissue and
grand. You
organs.
can start printing livers and stuff.
I don't know if those are, I think those might be other ones, but so what are basically the point of what you were just kind of saying, what I was saying, I agree with you, is they're playing God. They think they're God.
Oh yeah.
And it's not a human thinking they're God, whether it's in the computer or in a human brain. They are being, uh, they're a host. There's something else inside them.
Yeah, that guy Jordy Rose, man, he thinks he's God. He talks like he's God. He was he makes me sick, man. He's in my video in
I
case
don't.
you
Who was that
watch it.
again?
Jordy
I'll have to look
Rose.
into that then.
He's the creator of D Wave. He made the D Wave.
Oh,
And he made what's
well,
it called?
you
Kindred.
do you know the whole Silicon Valley thing was not true?
What
The internet didn't come from the Silicon Valley. CERN invented internet for the computers to communicate with each other.
Yeah, I did. You gotta watch my
That's,
video, bro. Seriously, you're like
I
saying
will.
everything that's
All
in
right.
my video.
I thought that when I knew you had that video. I'm like, man, I put this together. I'm probably going to be repeating a bunch of stuff. But honestly, I probably repeated myself a lot in all four of these videos so far, these shows. But we have to. It does seem stupid and monotonous, or I don't realize I'm repeating myself. It's how it sinks in. You got to repeat yourself. Keep hearing it. Keep understanding it. Don't stop.
Well, yeah,
Really.
because there'll be new viewers each time too. So new people
I'm trying to
watching.
lead them into looking back at old shows of ours and looking at other ones of yours. Just like I've said before in other videos, the whole point of me sharing or putting things together or wanting to present them to you or discuss them live in front of people with Jay, I just want people to just question, even if it's me. Just start thinking. Even the ones who completely believe with all this, think about what I said about the 2019 to 2022 thing. This is all more real. And if you ever watch any videos of Jay and you think or interpret an emotion of his in the way he's speaking as being frustrated, it's not. I've known him. He's a close friend of mine for many, many years, and we've been through the bottom, thick and thin. What I see, what could be interpreted as, frustration or it's not. I even when we're in the thick of things,
Yeah.
Jay would have heart. If he had heart for you, he strongly believed in it, and he would fight to the death in what he believed in. And what I'm witnessing Jay trying to just do is he's heartbroken for all these people who are good people, for all the good spirits out there. And he's heartbroken that people won't listen. People won't listen long enough to go question, even if it's him. It breaks his heart to see his fellow, his brothers and sister Christians just not understand that everything around us, that everything that Jay and I just seemed like we argued about over believing a human over a computer, it's all a soul grab. It's not a political power grab. It's not a vote grab. It's a soul grab. Because in their belief of balance of everything, they're trying to outbalance, good. And if you don't, you think I'm a holy roller for saying that, or some type of nutbag, then so be it. I can't look any crazier or stupider than I have in my entire life. But if I sit here and tell you about holding my mom's hand on her deathbed, and I know what it was in my heart, I just as much as I'm holding the hand of all my brothers and sisters out there, this is real. It's happening. And no doctor or politician can tell me different. I just want you to start questioning me to get questioning them. So that's about all I've had. And God bless you, Jay.
God bless you, brother.
The rest of you. It's been a good conversation. I hope to see you guys next time.
Yeah, man. Thanks. You brought a lot of awesome information. It's always good to have you on, man. Sorry, I got a little passionate on you at the end there.
We've always been like that. Yeah. We've always been like that. We're saying the same thing, and it takes us 2 days to understand that sometimes.
Yeah.
I have nothing but love and respect for you and all of you out there listening. So till next time.
You got it.
Just keep your head up. Stay vigilant.
Awesome, Franz. Thank you. God bless. Peace. Thanks, guys. Till next time.